G'day, Steve here, once more in the shed, and welcome. And this is part 2 of the 5th pencil case in the Marta pencil case collection. So once again, g'day to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. And I hope you're enjoying this process and you're keeping up. By the way, if you ever get stuck, by all means, just drop me an email or drop me a message on one of the social medias I'm on, and I'll get back to you with as much knowledge as I can and as soon as I can. The end of last episode on this particular pencil case build, which is this one here, which is really a transitional pencil case between the 4-sided sliding lid and this one here, which really for me is a combination of what this Marta pencil case collection is all about. So I've taken you through step by step, changing a little bit each time as we go. Now, for those of you that didn't see the last episode in this series, I honestly suggest you have a look, because there we made the templates, and we need the templates in order to make this box. And the templates have to be precise. With the bit of wood you've selected, work out which you want as the top, consequently which you want as the bottom, and also where do you want the front and where do you want the back. Because what we're going to do is actually start slicing this up, and there's 4 different panels that we used out of this block, and each gets treated differently at different stages of the build. At the moment we can put the templates to one side, get a ruler and a marking gauge, and set the marking gauge to about 3/16 of an inch, or 4.5 mil. Now that's going to be the thickness of the bottom. So with your marking gauge, we've got the bottom, we mark all the way around. And now for the top, I want the top to be thicker than the bottom. That's rather thin, but that's okay, because it's actually going to get glued back on to the base of this when we finish preparing the inside, but the top is going to be loose, and my concern is if I have it this thin, over time that top has the potential of cupping or twisting, so I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. I'm going to go for 1/4 of an inch, or just over 1/4 of an inch. So once again, your marking gauge and a ruler, mark it at 1/4 of an inch, and then once more scribe all the way around your block. So now we've got 2 sets of lines, a thicker one at the top and a thinner one at the bottom. Over to the bandsaw. I would use a bandsaw rather than a table saw, because I don't want a lot of curve to be used on this. I want to maintain as much integrity in this block as I can, and if you put it over a table saw, you could lose 3 mil. If I go over to the bandsaw, I'm not going to lose 1 mil, because I've got a very fine blade on there. Next, set it up for the top cut. Again, make sure these surfaces here are exactly 90 degrees so we get a nice clean cut. So now we've got 3 pieces, a bottom, a body and the top, and it's imperative you leave the setting that you cut the top of on the bandsaw the way it is. If there's someone else in your workshop, pull the plug out of the wall so they don't use it, because we have to have that same setting. Now if you like, with the body you can plane this flat and plane the bottom flat, and also the bottom, the top of the bottom, you can sand flat at this stage. Doesn't matter if it's a metal plane or a wooden plane. But whatever you do, check for squareness, because we still have to have this at 90 degrees to the sides. Might do the bottom. Check again for squareness. Now the bottom, because it's so thin, if you're not confident using hand plane, use sandpaper. I wouldn't use an electric sander because you can roll over the edges, and I want crisp, sharp edges. Matter of fact, it's even too wobbly for me to want to plane it. So I'll just hit it with a bit of 100 grit and a cork block. And again, as I've said many times with cork blocks, if you put a bit of plywood on one side, you've got a soft side and hard side. This, I want to maintain the squareness, so I'll make sure that it's the ply side that I'm actually sanding with. I keep on reaching over here. I'll show you what I've got there. It's just a little caddy I've made up for my different sandpaper grits. Makes it much easier to reach down, grab a piece of abrasive, 100, 150, 180, 220, 240, 320, 400, and then I've got a range of wet and dries, and I've also got round sticks in there in case I want to sand on some curves or some corners. Great little project to do on a weekend. I don't think I'll bother filming a project on it. If I've got enough emails, I will. But pretty simple to make, just make it out of scraps, and that's screwed onto the side of my bench. There you go. Find a nice, decent piece. And for those of you that may not seen me do this before, when you're using sandpaper or abrasive paper, when you put it onto the block, have it so it's nice and tight, and you're just holding it on the side like that, and then with your thumb, put tension on the sandpaper and wrap it around so there's no belly in there, because it's the belly that catches and rips and ruins your paper. Once I've got all the saw marks out, I'm not worried about these ones here because they're going to disappear, but I'll most likely go 150, 220, 240 and leave it at that. And that will do. That 240, that's going to be smooth enough for the bottom of the pencil case, but it's much easier to smooth it now before we glue it together than trying to sand it once it's under the body of the pencil case. Put that one to one side, put the top to one side. Now pick up, there's a good point too. Once you've planed it, remember to mark top and bottom on it again. Grab your template. The first template we're going to use, if you look at them, one is a lot bigger than the other. We want the smaller of the two, which is this one.